Alright, welcome to Think Louder. We are India's first and only LEGO speed build and review channel, but we are actually getting into a lot more. We are going to be largely just creating and a building channel. Very soon you will see more. Now, today's build is one of our most exciting builds. It's the Porsche 911 GT3 RS. We built this a few months ago. It took us some time to actually bring this to the fore and upload it. Took a lot of editing. We tried to compress it so that it's actually worth watching rather than a detailed build. That's how the final model looks. So that's a cute little bag of sorts which goes into the front trunk. It has independent suspensions. That's the rear spoiler underneath where the engine sits. Has a completely functional drivetrain and a steering mechanism. Extremely detailed. As we move ahead in the video, I'll also try and explain how the build is extremely modular. It's made into 4 different sections, starting with the drivetrain, which we will talk about and see as it gets built. Here, the attempt here is to actually show you how detailed and intricate the mechanism is. That's where the typical the Porsche engine sits. You can of course, like a lot other LEGO models as well, you can see the pistons firing as a wheels turn. Here is an attempt to actually show you how intricate that specific build is. What you see there is actually the entire steering section as well as the paddle shifters, and the beautiful odometer and the entire console is very clearly visible here. That's the gear shifter right there with the sort of bucket seats. That's the GT3 RS logo and the 2 sweet exhausts. The play between the frame and the wheels, there is not enough play, so I doubt that's where the suspension doesn't travel much. That's the entire steering section there, and it's beautifully designed. We will see that in detail as we see section. That's a beautiful GT3 RS logo. Beautiful headlamps. Again, some sections are more detailed than the others. These are some side views and some clear views. A beautiful top view. Again, they have no acrylic or glass panels. I would have expected that, but then again, they don't have it in this. So this is how the actual Porsche looks. That's the Carrera T, the Carrera S, I think, and these are some of the other models of the 911. That's the 911 GT3. Some Porsche, they look so cool. At some point maybe they actually LEGO makes a sort of convertible as well. Here we go, and like I said, we start with the drivetrain, and you will see the first part built here. What you're seeing here right now is how the first section just below the gear shifters actually gets built. That's the first part. This then is followed by the actual transmission, and then the shifter will come in, and then the frame, and so on and so forth. It again, like I said, extremely detailed. We've tried to make this video as informative as possible. Those are the 3, the drive, neutral, and the reverse section, the reverse drive mode. That's how the base frame starts building up. We've tried to keep the speed of this build and not very fast, and we will try and talk you through as much as we can while we build this. There you go. That's the slipper clutch, and that will now get this will fit basically into that into the first part of the gear train. Perfect. And right after this, there you go. That's the gear. That's most of the gears that you see here. As you see the paddle shifters working later on, you will see each of these gears get in turn and get their chance to shift. Perfect. Yep, that's the second part of the gear mechanism, and I'm sure the shifters will just come in any minute now. There you go. Those are the 2 shifters. So while once with the steering mechanism is built with the paddle shifters, you will see that they have I think 3 or 4 simple elastic bands to actually create the shifting mechanism. Perfect. So yeah, I've tried to explain and show here how the actual shifting happens. That's where once the gears are shifted, that specific channel is so important. Those 2 black strips, which actually shift the gears from one to another. Okay, that's now the rest of the rest of the front frame that's coming up. Perfect. And I'm sure all you LEGO fans, and even if you're not, each and every piece, each and every part in with LEGO builds has a meaning. That's the gear shifter and the cover panels around that, the entire gearbox. Perfect. Now this is a section where this will basically be the connector between the actual drivetrain and the paddle shifters. So what we're building right now are the paddle shifters, beautifully interconnected sort of a mechanism that is built here. This of course also gets the steering wheel fitted on top of this, which will then connect to the front through the front transmission. The steering mechanism is further built. So again, this is extremely integrated the way it is built. Those are the actual shifters. This is the part which connects to the drivetrain. We will see that in just a bit. It's always a good idea whenever you build certain modular sections in LEGO to see if they actually function by any rotating, any moving parts. It's always a good practice to actually check. There have been some models, that's the steering wheel. There have been some models I've worked on where I did not check that, and then at the end of it you realize one thing is missing. You've got to dismantle it to a great extent, and then you start figuring out where that specific fault or missing link is. That's how the entire the shifters, the paddle shifters connect to the rest of the transmission. There you go. That's how the shifting happens. Perfect. That's the GT3 RS logo. Yeah, we're about just over halfway there when it comes to the base frame, the drivetrain being built. Now that's the front suspension. You can see those the absorbers, the shock absorbers, and you can see where the wheels will get connected now. This is basically we're basically building the steering mechanism now, where you will see the there you go. That's the steering mechanism which will help turn the front wheels. Yep, that's how it's functioning. And I'm sure even if we miss a small little part, even a small little lever or a small little connector, you can have an incomplete LEGO build. Those are the beautiful large yellow, bright yellow disc calipers, disc brake calipers. This is how the suspension will now fit in. There you go. And we will now connect it in the next section. We'll connect it to the front steering section as well. Yeah, that's the part where now we'll connect the steering wheel to the actual steering mechanism. Perfect. Now I know there have been some LEGO enthusiasts who tried to test this specific model under extreme conditions. I remember one of them actually blasted it across a field. I have no idea what was the purpose of it, but that was just strange. Now, just in the next section, you will see that a unique, there you go. That's the unique logo, the unique code, if I may, that every Porsche LEGO builder gets. We will now focus on the front suspension. That's the differential box. And very slowly we will start building the rear suspension. I'm sorry. I for one am a huge fan of the LEGO Technic models, because they really show in certain extent teach a lot in terms of how to design certain aspects and parts of complex real life models. Those are the again the beautiful calipers that you see for the rear discs. Okay, those are sort of the axles which will get connected to the rear wheels. And those are the shock absorbers. At some times I actually felt that maybe this could have been a little more detailed, but then again, this entire model has more than 2,800 parts. And see how beautifully it connects to the rest of the base frame, the rest of the drivetrain. You just need to know, how each of these levers, the lifting arms work, and the connectors work. Now that's the best part. That's the actual engine. And the engine type, the way the engine is built in LEGO is pretty similar in a lot of models. With this specific build as well, they've kept it the way the engine looks and feels. Of course, they've kept it the same. And that's now the rear engine of the Porsche GT3 is fit. It will now come with its entire panel. Now, this specific section that you see here can actually be used if you have a separate motor. We can actually motor this section, and you can see the entire gear system function. There you go. That's all of the those are the inlets. I'm just completing the these specific the red connectors that you see are actually used to connect the second part of the build. There you go. That's almost we're almost through with the drivetrain of the Porsche GT3, and it looks really, really cool. We'll quickly then move to the next part of the build. And now the second part of the build has started. You will see as this also very progressively starts building itself, and once we're there, we will basically fit this entire section on that on the first part, which is the drivetrain. Fits really beautifully, and when you actually get to the point where you're fixing these two sections, it's just so amazing to see. They really fit like a glove, if I may. Wow, and this is the part which I love the most, where we are fitting the second part of the GT3 with the drivetrain. I actually had connected the wheels just to see the drivetrain functioning, I could remove it when I was trying to fix it again. Yeah, these are the bucket seats. Just to save time and to show how the actual model starts building, I had actually made the seats separately. So cool, they look so cool. And then that's the entire the steering mechanism. Now that's again a beautiful view when you see it from from down up. That's where how the door frames are now coming up, and you will see the door panels slowly being built. That's the rear fender, and you'll start now seeing the entire all the beautiful Porsche oranges coming up. And that's a similar build on both the sides now. That's just the basic frame for the doors that is coming up, just like the other side. And then we will build the rear section of a specific building. There you go. Okay, that's the rear section, the rear panel. That's the GT3 RS logo. You see the tail lights there as well. This section is a little delicate if if you have children playing with this specific model, which my daughter does all the time. Of all the models that I could possibly build, she picked this specific model to play, and all her trolls actually travel in this Porsche time and again. And I'm just so worried because even if certain parts, the smallest part falls down, you just cannot find it, and then you know how it is. Alright, so that's just some of the connecting sections, while the other parts will start putting on top of this. Beautiful. Now that's the front bonnet. Yep, the other section, this side has to be built to connect the rest of the bonnet. So if you also notice the way Porsche and the way LEGO has designed the way this model builds, it starts from one side and then completes a circle around the other section. And I like the way it flows. It literally flows as you start building this. And once you make this model 2 or 3 times, you actually know the logic behind how each of these panels have been designed, where you cannot fit one before the other unless you actually start taking them apart, and you have to really think about that. But otherwise, the way the models flow is beautiful. Yeah, that's the roof. That's the rear frame, sort of a cage that is building up. Awesome. There you go, we're almost there with the section. Now this is the entire dashboard. Oh, that's the front grille. That's sort of the radiator actually, which is well hidden, but you can still see. Yeah, that's the left fender with the headlight. That's the supporting link there. That's the lower part of the door, and then the upper part of the door will just come. Fantastic. That's the back cover, just a part of the rear spoiler. Even the rear spoiler, when you think about it, it's so complicated sometimes. That's what I felt at times while I was building this. Yeah, there you go, that's the spoiler. Yeah, it actually moves in a few different angles. Let's build the right door now. I think that's the point. I think I've got confused a little. So something in the miss. I think again, like I said earlier, even if one small section doesn't fit properly, you just spend a lot of time trying to figure this out. That's the what you see. There's a small circular section there. That's the petrol inlet, the fuel inlet, and okay. If you notice the beautiful rear view mirrors that are fit, there's some of the just some beautiful lines just to cover the way it goes. That's the typically that's sort of the A pillar now. Wouldn't be it's sort of the part of the A pillar, but it's more of the front frame. There's no distinct A pillar or B pillar that you see, but that just forms that. There you go. Here comes the wheels. And we're almost through with the final section now, and you can see those beautiful calipers, and there we go, the next part of the wheels come in. Fantastic. And that's the way the model is, and that's the beautiful cute little box that you see there. Awesome. Alright, I hope you loved that specific video. That's one of our best videos till date, one of the best models that we've built till date. As you noticed, the Porsche is a very detailed build. It's a little expensive to buy, but once you do, you're just going to fall in love with it. It has almost a 600-page manual with a lot of history about Porsche and some amount of Lego, how the chief designers worked together. I love the way the model came out in the end. And like I said, they spent almost 3 years building this model. It's extremely intricate. The unfortunate part, and this is again one of my complaints with some of the technique models, a lot of the beautiful working of all these models actually is under the hood. Like you noticed here, the drivetrain is so beautifully designed, but you just can't see any of it. Well, maybe that's the way it is. You don't really want to show, what's really under the belly. In actual models, of course, you know it only by the performance of the vehicle. But in these models, I wish there was a way, to talk about the different, the intricacies and the details of what Lego has achieved. I also have a separate video where we've talked about this. We rate this specific build 10 out of 10 for the first time. Let us know what you feel and keep building, and do expect more from Think Louder. Like I said, we are moving to a different sort of building a lot more than just Lego. So keep watching. Talk to you soon.